Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace. Welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace Season 2, Episode 11. And I'm going to call this The Return to the Titans of the Fantastic. We've got Brittney and Keith with us tonight. Brittney is a filmmaker, director, writer, producer. She's got a movie about ready to come out for this Halloween time. And we've got Keith down here, the Man of the Year from 2006. If you guys forgot, he was Time Magazine's Man of the Year. And of course, he's also Pop Culture Minefield. He and his partner, Gary. So, I'm not sure what happened there. AJ kind of went away for a second. Now she's back. So, and of course, my lovely co-host, as always, Ace. Wow, something. Somebody's watching it along with it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. That's weird. Anyway, but I wanted to have you both on with us because I saw you guys at Tremendicon this weekend, and I thought I need to have them on. We need to get together because it's been way too long since the four of us were together hanging out. So
yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, people have been busy. Not mentioning any names, Brittney, but
we've had some films.
Yeah.
Well,
I do want to talk about that because I want to get all the scoop on the Halloween movie coming up and all that. Now, before we do any of that, I want to touch base just kind of because all four of us were at Tremendicon over the weekend. Some of us for longer than others, but just kind of wanted to get your guys' feel and kind of because we all were doing different roles there. We all had different jobs we were performing there. So just kind of talk a little bit about what you did and what you thought of Tremendicon's second year. You can go first, Brittney.
Are you looking at me? It looks like you're looking at me.
We're looking at you.
I had a lot of fun. I didn't get to go last year. I can't remember why. Something was going on, and I couldn't go last year. This year, David Watson, who is the literally best DP around, he shot and edited and colored, and he's a producer on Happy Halloween. He had some panels, and they asked him to do some filming, and he was like, "Hey, you want to come and help maybe do some interviews?" So we did a few interviews, and I came and hung out at his panels and took some pictures and videos, and because he needs more people knowing how awesome he is. So, right. But I had a good time. I got to see you guys. AJ, I didn't get to see you. I didn't see you at all.
So I saw you, but you were walking away, and I hollered your name, and you kind of went like this, but you didn't actually turn. So.
Okay, so see, I thought I heard somebody say my name, but it's such a common name that I'm like, how narcissistic to think that somebody's like specifically talking to me. So I'm just like,
Yeah, you did this and you kind of even did the shrug thing, and but I looked like you were going to panel. So I was like, okay, she's probably on a time crunch. Like it looked like you were going towards somewhere like with purpose. So.
Oh yeah, I walk with purpose because I'm short.
Me too.
Well, but, the funny thing, Brittney, is I didn't see AJ at all. We missed each other. I went looking for her and Spoo, and people would say, "Oh yeah, I saw them go that way about 5 minutes ago," and so I'd go that way. Never once saw them.
Nope.
So they were right behind you.
I did get to see Keith and get a big bear hug from Keith, so he's the only one who saw me.
I did. I saw the happy couple. And I saw everybody, really. From where I was, I could see everybody. So, saw Brittney, saw Larry. It was great seeing everybody. Going to these kinds of things, it's always nice to be able to just see all your friends and hang out and talk and, catch up and try to do something in the midst of all that fun. So,
Keith, your video is lagging for your voice.
I may have to just jump out and come back in.
Okay, well, and that's okay if you want to do that. I just was like, I feel like I'm watching Kung Fu Theater.
Right? No, I was like, is it my computer? Because a while ago it was like doing something, but thank goodness it's not just me. It's always just me.
Technology.
I'll be right back.
Oh, well, I hear you now. It's now working right, Keith.
Oh, okay.
Well, now it's lagging again. I don't know. It did, and then it stopped. I don't know. You may want to jump out and come right back.
I'll be back.
All right.
That's like Schwarzenegger and a
Technology, man.
I know, right? Hey, AJ, so talk a little bit about your experience. I know it was a quick experience because you guys had other things you had to do.
Right. I mean, we didn't get up there as early as we had hoped because I had some things to do for the paper. And then we got there. I got to look around. I got to see a bunch of amazing friends, cosplayers, and artists. Got to go around the booths. Shpoo did filming of like the cosplayers and the con because Tremendicon had asked if he would be able to share some footage and stuff like that, like he used to do for VisionCon. So we kind of just walked around. I talked to a lot of people. I talked to Christy Fott for a while, and Trent and Sarah were at one end with Mandalorian and that whole thing they were doing shots of the Mandalorian and things for, I think it was 6 shots for $3 or something, or 3 shots for $6. I don't know, but all the money went to charity. And Nate and all of them, I got to see all of them, but just kind of looked around. We did buy a couple things we probably shouldn't have. But it's really Christy had brought back 2 of David's horror themed art prints, and I have always wanted them, and so we bought a couple of them. So
good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I stopped and talked to Christy quite a bit. So yeah.
But we got we just kind of did that, and Jamie at Nerd Informant's table, kind of like hung out with Jamie for a little bit and stuff like that. Well, I was waiting for you to try to see if it that way, but apparently nobody.
You should have texted me.
I did. At one point, I texted you, but it never went. Like it would say like no signal, no.
Oh
signal.
My gosh, that's horrible.
So I'm like, okay, try again. Try. I lost my husband at one point. I was sure you guys all saw him because
I did see him. I was like, hey, how are you? And he was like, good. And then I was going to a panel.
He literally was like gone, and I was like, hey, and I'm trying to text him, but my text didn't go through to him either. So I was like, he'll find me.
And I had heard that a couple times was like, well, I didn't see AJ, but I saw Shpoo go that way. So, and again, it was in my pursuit trying to find you guys. And so then at one point I ended up talking to Jamie. She's like, oh yeah, they left an hour ago. Okay. All right.
I texted you when we left too, but it just never went through. And then I was like, he's fine. He's fine.
No, I was fine, but I wanted to see you guys. So anyway, because I have something for you. So.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Gifts. I love gifts.
Yes, and you're going to like this gift. I still need to give it to you.
I literally don't like. This is not mine. This is just Drew's.
It's not a toy, but it is a cool gift you'll like. So.
Hey, I like art more than toys. But.
So we'll ask Keith kind of his impressions because he was kind of sitting in a booth, so he was manning a booth, so he got that experience of manning the booth and also talking to everybody because he was near the front door. So Keith got that experience, which is always a cool experience. Also,
it's a really good location.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I was kind of floating around trying to get a feel for who everybody was and go to the different booths and talk to different people and get a feel what was going on. So ended up playing D&D for a couple hours on Saturday afternoon because there was a group and they're like, "Hey, do you want to play?" I'm like, "Okay, sure, let's play."
Always.
I'm like, "Yeah, all right, let's go play and we'll have fun." So.
No, I hate D&D. I never play.
Well, since I'd already talked to those guys about how I'm playing and how we're going to be having a new show featuring 4 youngsters playing D&D coming up in August. So yeah,
Yep. We're gonna
Another
have,
podcast?
yeah, we're going to be doing a second podcast with.
it's gonna be like GeekyKOOL presents the D&D Kids is kind of the name I'm floating with and trying to design a logo for and stuff. But you can kind of hear her in the background.
Yeah.
Lex is going to be part of it, and then
Cool.
we'll have 2 other kids who are homeschool kids, and then we'll have Eli, Mandy Collins' son Eli. So we're going to have their range from 9 to 14. Is Eli 14
Yeah, I
now?
think he's 14. I'm pretty sure Eli's
9 to
14.
14, 2 girls, 2 boys, and Lex played D&D one time with Larry at OzCon, but other than that, she's never played, and none of the other kids have played. So Larry's going to teach them how to play, and we're going to
played once or twice, but yeah.
Yeah.
The part of what we're going to do is do one of the first videos is going to talk about what tabletop gaming is and how you approach it, and how it's a cooperative game, and how winning isn't having the best character. Winning is how your group works together. And so we're going to do all that and go through that, and then go through the different types of characters and help them build their characters, and then eventually we're going to get to play. But yeah, we're going to do all that, and then it's also going to work for homeschooling to be able to do math and ethics and
probability, statistics, storytelling, art,
creative writing prompts. Yeah, we're going to have all those things. Yeah.
So.
Man, homeschool kids are so lucky.
Right?
I know, right? Here's your assignment. You got to play D&D.
Yeah, you have to learn and play D&D. School's so tough.
We're gonna have it's gonna be an every other week thing, and then on the weeks that we're not doing the podcast, her and the 2 homeschool kids, I'm hoping to get them together to do creative writing with their characters to kind of get more backstories so that they can kind of understand their characters a little bit more. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So we've got that, I've got a couple other things in the works, a couple other podcasts maybe happening. So
I want to
get busy.
I want to do a podcast, but it wouldn't be kid friendly. So I don't know. I am not censoring myself all the time, Professor. I'm not.
GeekyKOOL presents After Hours with AJ.
She's like, don't tune in.
Dakota having a conversation, and I was like, I want to do this, but yeah.
Well, there you go. Keith, we were talking a little bit about our different experiences at Tremendicon. I know you were at a booth.
Yes.
But you got to talk to a ton of people while you were at your booth because it was near the front where everybody was coming in, even though it wasn't designed to be the front, but that's where everybody pretty much made the front. So,
hey, anytime I'm around both the VisionCon and the Ghostbusters of the Ozarks booths, it's definitely going to be a time, So, talking's basically part of the reason why I'm doing our show. 5th year. I think we're approaching 7,000 now.
That's amazing.
And,
It's
a lot of people.
It is, and again, if I don't think about it, I can do stuff. But when I start to think about it, it starts to slow me down because I'm starting to get a little self-conscious.
Start sweating.
Well, I mean, I look. This is. I know that. When we talk about the show, I know that when you guys talk about the show, you bring up Gary and myself, but really we got a team,
right?
And to Martin and to John, especially John. I've known John for years, and between those guys and Bill, who runs the radio station that we're a part of, and Chantel, because I don't want to forget her, she's great. We have an incredible team, and especially with me having been gone for a while, those guys continue to get everything done, and
right.
we have cultivated an incredible audience, people that like to hang around, and people from various walks of life, even people that work in the business who just like to hang out and watch our show and send us cool stuff,
That's amazing.
Well, it is. It's to be such that people will send you things.
Yeah.
That's weird to me, and I'm very appreciative, but that's still kind of it's kind of odd.
You're famous.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're a star.
Far from
That's
it.
what stars get. Gifts.
Far from it.
But yes, the man of the year is going to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame before too long. So bring it to Carrie Fisher. Yeah, right. Yeah.
He's like, wait a second.
All you have to do is pay for it, because that's the hidden secret behind the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yep.
Do you really have to pay for them?
The stars pay for their own stars.
So if they're like, hey, we want to give you a star, they're like, just like they're wanting money?
More often than not, what it is that if you, I learned this from the guy that does Kevin Smith's podcast about the whole thing with Adam West. And what you do is you go out and you get together with other fans and admirers. You can raise the money however you need to, but eventually the office of the mayor of Hollywood has to receive the form, and then they have to receive the money, and then you get the ceremony.
How much is the money?
I have no idea, because I know it's changed since then.
I mean, because I'm like,
crazy.
Okay, well, let's pay $200 for the star, or let's pay $800,000 for a star. I mean,
that's a little closer. I think that's a little closer to what it is.
The cost of those things wouldn't be that.
But like, the city of Hollywood doesn't have a list of people, then they reach out. Like, it's the star has to, or their fans have to, like, send in the paperwork and the money, and then they have to approve it.
That kind of explains why it took so long for Carrie Fisher to get on there, because I'm sure Carrie Fisher was probably like, I'm not paying you crap.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, just look it up online, Wikipedia, the whole thing about getting your star and all of it. Walk of Fame, and it explains all the steps. So
Huh.
That is interesting. Well, Brittney,
well, no, like I'm just feeling bad for. I feel bad for the stars because, like, I thought it was.
Right.
I feel bad for the stars. It's a ridiculous statement, but like I was just thinking, like when they're like, so and so finally has their star on the walk of, like, I'm like, oh man, they've decided to honor them. Like I didn't realize it was because they just didn't pay for it yet.
I was the same way until I saw that thing about Adam.
Wow.
West, and it was just like, oh, so that's how that is.
But literally anybody could get one.
No.
No?
The city of Hollywood has to still approve it.
Oh, okay.
So you send in the application and you send in the money, and then the mayor and the board of the city council, board of aldermen, I don't know what they have out there, but they have to approve each person. So they have to actually have some fame, but that's why some really famous people don't have stars and some mediocre famous people do have stars. It's because they had all that paperwork filled out and everything. So they still vet them. They just, it's not an honor as what you typically think it would be.
It's not like Grauman's Chinese Theater that they eventually will remove your handprints and stuff from in front of there.
Right.
So that gets altered all the time. Yeah. So, well, I mean, if you did that, you would have ran out of room decades ago.
Right, because it's not very big.
Theater. Yeah, it's not very big out there.
It's not, yeah.
I got to go one time. It was really neat.
It is neat. I agree.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It
was really neat.
That's what he wanted to do for his high school graduation, was Route 66 road trip. So we did it when we went out there. Yeah, I was a good mom.
Well,
And
That was a good mom.
now I'm just like, I don't care. He's a
Well-
grown man. It's fine. It's fine. He knows how to take care of himself.
Yeah,
It's
it's
fine.
true.
Hey,
Now, Brittany, you're going to be offered one of those opportunities with the Star after Halloween hits really big here soon.
Maybe not me. Maybe some of our actors.
But I think directors can get on there also.
Some of our
And
actors.
writers. Yeah, you can make it.
Maybe David. Maybe our DP. That's what I would much rather. I would much rather our actors and David get recognition. You know what I mean? Get the recognition for.
So are
They
you
killed
saying
it.
you don't want people walking over your name at 2:00 in the morning in Hollywood? Is that what it is?
I mean, they can if they want. I mean, I could probably just go out there and put my name down
Oh, that's true.
If-
You know, put some,
if they want to walk over it. As far as like who has a better shot at that, I would say some of our actors and David. And I would want them to. Like if I got to choose.
Right.
If they were like between you and them, I'd be like, oh, let's do them.
That's awesome. That's how amazing you are, Brittany.
No,
So, you are.
they're just good. They're good people. They're talented people. They gave me 110%. You know what I mean?
There you go. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the process that you're going through right now with it, and when we can expect to see this.
So right now we filmed October. I'm sorry, some in September, October.
Mm-hmm.
First part of November.
Right.
And then David had been doing like edits like while we were filming.
Right.
Because he's editing and coloring. And so he was doing that while we were filming. And then we've done a few pickup days. We shot an end credit scene, which was really fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was exciting. Because we're talking about possibly doing a sequel. That's neither here nor there. We'll get this one done first.
Sure.
We're in the process of writing it right now. But so David, we have our picture lock. I believe David is pretty much done with the color grade, and now we have it to our sound, score, and visual effects. So
That's awesome. So you
so
guys
close.
are close. I was going to say,
Yeah.
you guys are really close.
So close. Right there at the finish line.
Right. So when and where can people see it?
Right. So we're hoping we're going to be doing a premiere at the Alamo in
Mhm.
Springfield.
Yep.
And it'll more than likely be the first part of October. So
There
we
you
don't
go.
have like specific dates yet. But yeah, we've been working with Curtis out there at the Alamo, who's phenomenal. We worked with him when we showed the Flying Greek
Yep,
at the
yep.
Alamo, and then when we did Eldridge.
Which I thought it was awesome.
Thank you. Shout out Ryan and David and all of our cast for Eldridge. Yeah, thank you. It was great. It was so much fun to see it, and it had it sold out a lot of showings, and
That's
we're all really
amazing.
proud of it. So
Yeah.
it's exciting. So we're hoping to have a good turnout for Happy Halloween with it being October. But
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
yeah. Fingers
Everybody buy tickets when they go on sale.
Well, we will definitely be promoting it, and we want to have you on to make sure we shout that out when tickets start going on sale. Brittany, let me know, and we will get you on to talk about that. And
For sure.
make
We're
everybody
excited.
can we are too. I'm excited to see it. Now, for those people that may be watching that don't know the history behind this, tell us a little bit about how Happy Halloween has came about, because I know it's been kind of been around for a while in the idea.
Yeah. Now it's been close to 15 years, I guess. It was something I wrote. I mean, most people, I mean, you can see there's a pumpkin behind me and like stab up there. I've always liked horror films since I was a kid, since I was about 5, actually. I've always been obsessed with them. I love fake blood. I love Halloween. I love pumpkins. And I don't know. I was like, you know what? I wish there was more Halloween movies. Obviously, you have the Halloween franchise, Trick or Treat, stuff like that. But I don't know. It's like there should be more. It's like one of the biggest. It's like that's when most people want to watch horror films. So I was just like, I don't know. I love horror movies. I love slasher movies. At that point in time when I was writing it, slasher movies had kind of dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, Scream brought it back in the 90s and they went through like mid to early 2000s and then they dropped off. And so I started writing it. Like I said, now it's been about 15 years. It's been through, it used to be like a 2-hour script, which is ridiculous for a horror film. And now it's an hour and a half, more reasonable for sure. Makes more sense. So it's been through a lot of rough drafts, and we did a proof of concept about 3 years ago.
Yep.
When some of those actors and David and Tyler all came on board for the feature. Some of the actors we changed out because of location and fits and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so 3 years ago, we shot the proof of concept, and David shot like 4 other feature films before we got to Happy Halloween. And then this year we got to shoot it.
That's awesome.
And now we're here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Oh, that's Emma. Yeah. That's Emma. She's our lead. She plays Hadley. And when you're writing stuff, like, I mean, for people that write, like, you hear voices in your head and things, I don't know, like there's some things that work in your head, but you just don't think are going to work. Like when you put it to screen. And then Emma actually did a self-tape for another character. And we were just like, oh my God. And I messaged David and Aline. I'm like, guys, I think this is Hadley. Like, I really think this is Hadley. And they were like, us too. So we messaged her and she did a self-tape for Hadley. And we were just like, oh my God. And like, she's so talented. She's so down to earth. She has a really good head on her shoulders. She's very intelligent. Like when it comes to the character and I don't know, man, she's just, I will never be able to say enough praise for how awesome Emma is, but
that's
you guys are going to be excited. She does some cool stuff in the movie. It's pretty great.
And you know, I'm not a big slasher horror person, but I'm super excited to see it. So. And
it's not like over the top. Like everybody keeps thinking it's going to be wall to wall blood because it's me, but it's low budget. It's low budget, so we didn't have a lot of money. So I was doing a lot of our makeup and stuff like that. Right. So everybody was wearing, not just me, like everybody on set they're all wearing multiple hats. Mm-hmm. So if we get to do a sequel and we get a budget for the sequel, there will be blood, like more of it.
Oh, there will be blood.
Yeah. So you can totally watch this one. It's not too crazy.
Well, I don't hate blood. I just have to have,
a story with it. Oh.
Yeah, it either has to have some humor with it, or it has to be really suspenseful to really get me into it. Typically, so
there's some humor.
And I like
a little bit.
That's why I was able to, Scream worked for me because I liked the humor aspect of it. It brought it back. So yeah, that's why I like Scream.
I just bought the new one. Just came out today.
I have not seen it yet. Have you seen it? I assume you saw it.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I went with Eddie and his wife to the fan event, and we saw it in 3D. And I'm not a big 3D movie person at all. It was so cool. Watching it in 3D was actually pretty awesome. Like it was pretty neat.
While you were...
I mean, my only complaint is Neve Campbell's not in it. Like they could have done an end credit scene and not even had her in it. Like they literally could have had a phone and a hand pick up the phone, and you hear "Hello, Sydney."
Right.
Like, and I mean, everybody would have lost their mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were just like, "Nah, we don't even need to do that." So that's my only complaint. It's a great movie.
So Lex saw it. She saw it before she hasn't seen any of the others. She didn't watch any of the others. She was super excited. And then we were like, you have to watch the other. Like, we were like, you're doing this backwards, child. But, she is a huge horror fan as well. But, I mean, look at her dad. Like, her dad.
Right.
So,
Emma did that.
Yeah.
Our lead did that. She watched the 6th one and was like, "Hey, I watched Scream 6." And I'm like, "Emma, you haven't watched the other ones." I'm like, "You don't even understand all that." She's like, "But they did such a good job. I get that it was important." And I was like, "Okay."
We made Lex go back and watch it because we were like, no, if you like that one, you have to now watch.
They're so good.
Right.
They're so good. Best horror franchise in my opinion, hands down.
So let me do say I did have a problem with the first movie. When I went and saw it, I'm expecting Drew Barrymore to be a main character.
That's the point.
Oh, I know, but it made me mad because I'm a huge Drew fan. I kind of a crush on her.
We kind of crushed Drew Barrymore.
I know, so. But
you
I got over it because I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. But
you watched Nightmare on Elm Street, though, right?
Yeah.
That's all he did. He was like, "I'm going to do what I did in Nightmare on Elm Street and make everybody think this blonde is my lead."
That's true.
That's all he did. And he was like, "Everyone's going to come to see Drew Barrymore, and they're going to be devastated."
And I did. That was exactly what I did. Yeah,
Genius.
It was so smart. Oh no!
R.I.P. Wes Craven.
You can't kill her. What just happened? I don't understand.
But
like, I just want to see more Drew.
But it did its job. Because then you're on edge the whole entire time. Because if the main girl can get it, then anybody can get it.
You were exactly right.
Genius.
That was perfect. It did do that for me.
You expected Drew Barrymore to be the final girl. Like
I did.
Yeah, because Neve Campbell had just started. Like Party of Five had just started. It wasn't like huge.
Right.
No one really knew who she was. No one knew who Rose McGowan was.
Not at all. And you know, and they had her be the poster girl, which was brilliant.
They did. So yeah. Well, yeah, because she's on the poster. I expect her to live at least for the first 5 minutes of the movie.
And it's iconic.
You're
still,
right, Steve, yeah.
Still one of the best openings to a horror movie ever is Scream.
I don't disagree. I can just say, you know, because I forget how old. However old I was when it came out, I'm like, oh, Drew's going to be this movie. Okay, I want to see this. And then, like, now what do I do? Okay, I watched the movie. Okay, I really enjoyed the movie, but still, I'm like, oh.
Poor Casey Becker. So sad.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny though. It was so as soon as she answers the phone, I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna kill her right away. Like it wasn't even. There was no doubt in my mind that she was gonna die as soon as she like answered the phone because I was like, this is gonna be the premise. But that's a big.
It never entered my head. Never once entered my head that was a possibility. Never once.
But you watched it in '96, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I watched it in '96 too when I was 10. So I didn't understand premises at all. I didn't get any of that stuff. But I think people that watch it now have a lot harder time accepting some of the things that happen in the movie because I mean, just like. I mean, again, I saw a lot of these movies when I was a kid, so I just believed into all of it. But there's people that all have watched the original Nightmare movie, and they'll be like, they'll pick it apart in certain scenes, and I'm like, dude, you gotta remember, this came out like in the 80s. Like, you've seen all these other horror movies, and you're thinking, oh, this movie stole from this, or they took, they did this, this, and this, and this movie did it better. I'm like, no. Dear child, like... all of this stuff has been like redone 1,000 times. And this is when it was done first and when it was like innovative. And so many people have a problem going back. I still think the whole Scream franchise holds. But there's some people that go back to the 96 one and they're like, but this doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you do this? I'm like, y'all, cell phones just came out. They didn't even have caller ID.
Well, I mean,
like that wasn't even a thing. They still had answering machines.
Well, it's like you have your movies like The Thing from Another World.
Oh,
and then the remake known as John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yep.
And then you have the attempt to restart the entire franchise by doing a movie that, you know, what happened to the base camp that you saw in The Thing prior to the events of the... I mean, you could take things from any different ways but you know it is really about the scare and how you're going to do it.
Mhm.
It's the anticipation. It's the cast. It's all kinds of stuff. And for me, I mean, I have found, you know, I've had a lot of good memories watching films like that. You know, if you couldn't tell, because for me it was the thing.
It's a good movie.
Well, yeah, but I can only watch that movie once every couple of years, though. You know,
Dude, I watch Scream once a month.
Oh,
is that bad?
No. That's like me with the Matrix. I kept watching the Matrix Revolutions. You know, it seemed like every other month. It seemed like.
Yeah, Scream and Scream 4 are the two out of that franchise that I watch the most of. But yeah, I watch them like every month.
I did that with the '89 Batman. Just gonna watch it over and over and over again.
I watch the '89 Batman once a month too. That and Beetlejuice and Clue. Those are my rotations.
Yeah, that's a great rotation.
Those are my happy movies.
Mine was Murder by Death because I love laughing.
That's a good movie.
Laughing. I know, right? And you saw what I meant by that, right? The people that made Clue took a lot from Murder by Death.
Oh yeah. And Clue. Oh god, they keep talking about remaking Clue, and I'm just like, no. Now I know why adults were so mad when I was younger, when they were like remaking stuff or making a cartoon into a live action. I'm like, why are you so mad? This is gonna be great. And now I'm at that age where I'm like, I get it. I'm so angry all the time.
My thing is like, stop making remakes and. Like, if you're gonna do Clue, tell a kind of different story, but with the same premise, you know, like a sequel to it, or you know what I mean. Like, if you're gonna do it, don't make a remake. I'm kind of tired of remakes.
Well, and you can't make it the same. Like, that is those actors. Like, that movie works because of the actor's timing.
It does.
Like, it's not gonna work with anybody else.
Nope.
That's the thing about Murder by Death. You know, I'd always hope that Neil Simon would get around to doing a pseudo sequel with another group of mystery type characters, because we've had a big change. You know, when that film came out, everything was changing as far as how people tell mystery stories and how we as a country, as a society, see those types of characters now. And yet we still are experiencing some of the problems and issues that Murder by Death, or in this case Lionel Twain, that he complained about, you know, and there's a lot more that needs to be said on that, I think. And so doing an updated version with a new group of characters would be phenomenal.
Right.
You know, I'd love to see what happens.
That's the key, though. A new group of characters. Like,
don't just do the same thing.
Right, yeah. And they're like, Ryan Reynolds is going to be in it. Nothing against Ryan Reynolds. It's not going to play the same. Like, I promise you. Right. Like, I promise it's not going to play the same. Like, it just won't do it.
Yeah, you do need a new group of actors, and you need some characters that you can call them the same things, but you can change the circumstances a little bit.
It doesn't have to be the word for word, and that's what they'll do.
Yeah,
they'll try and they just repurpose the script. It's like, it's pointless.
With those characters in Clue, what's great about it is that's not their real names anyway. So you could literally bring in anyone and be, this is Mrs. Peacock, this is Miss Scarlet. Like, you could anyone and change the backstory for each of them.
Yeah,
that would work. But you can't try. I'm kind of over like the remakes, like trying to do it word for word, or even like so similar that it's the same story again and again and again.
Every Disney live action movie lately.
Since the 90s, this is all because of what they did with Robin Williams and Flubber. That was the beginning of it, because there had already been Flubber movies before.
Right, there was.
You just had a whole new generation of people that didn't know that, but just because they didn't know doesn't make it not true.
No,
and
you're right.
It doesn't make it right.
I understand the recent idea of taking whatever was successful animated and then making it live action just because you want to.
Well, and let's face it,
same script, and you're like, really? No.
Let's face it. In my opinion, the only live action movie we have ever needed out of Disney is Hercules. In my opinion, because Hercules, that cartoon, next to, again, my opinions only,
Yeah.
The Hercules Disney cartoon next to the Immortals movie with Henry Cavill are two of the best Greek mythology movies ever. And one of them's a cartoon. You literally could just make that live action and you would have like the best Hercules movie ever. But they'd have a way of messing it up when they do live action.
The only thing I don't want them to do is make Hera like the good mother to Hercules. Like don't even like
Yeah.
oh, the big thing with that. I was like, I know it's Disney and I know it's cartoons, but you can at least call her stepmother.
You know what,
they couldn't do what she really does.
Oh no, but they could have at least called her stepmother, right? Like Disney.
I love that movie.
You know what though? I keep hoping that Disney wises up and does a proper sequel to Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I mean,
a proper sequel.
Yeah,
Yes.
but because whereas you have Mary Poppins, that wasn't really calling for a sequel. But Bedknobs and Broomsticks, of course. I mean, you've got the war. Come on, what happened to all those characters and all the magical stuff they went through? I mean, I know the Bedknobs and Broomsticks is kind of like a variation on. Well, it's a great movie, but I mean, it's kind of like a variation on Mary Poppins.
It is.
But that one, you know, I think does a little bit more. And you know, I would love to see a remake of Island at the Top of the World, another Disney classic that I know a lot of you out there may not have heard of, but trust me, you know, if you go to Disney Plus and look it up, it was an incredible adventure movie. And making it nowadays with the kinds of sensibilities and technology that we have now, you're talking a movie about characters in a dirigible trying to find a group of lost characters who end up meeting the Vikings and other things. I mean, nowadays we could do some amazing stuff with that story, but you know,
I think Disney just needs to take a break. I think they just need to take. I just think they need to take a year and just take a break and just take a breather. And then maybe, I don't know, go to some conventions and just listen. Like, don't even ask questions. Just kind of listen to what people are like, oh, man, I really want this. Or, oh, man, like, wouldn't it be cool if they did this? And just take a year and just write notes.
Yeah.
Instead of just cramming 1,000 things. Like, I think this year they've only had 2 movies that have done well. And the rest of them, they've all lost money.
Yeah, they've all lost money.
Like, that's insane.
Guardians Volume 3 and Avatar Way of Water. And Avatar technically doesn't count because Disney only distributed the movie. They didn't pay for it. So basically a lot of that money went straight to James Cameron. And
Cameron is so much money.
Oh, he is. Look, he's a total pimp, man. He's got this down. Oh man, he's got this down. Oh yeah.
I wonder if James Cameron wants to fund the sequel.
He might.
Happy Halloween.
Oh.
Does he want it in the water? We'll put it in the water if that's what he wants. We can make a Fern Gully movie with killers. It's fine.
I'll do it. That with blue people, I don't know. Maybe.
Hey, she'll make it work.
I'll make sacrifices.
Yes, she will make that work.
If we got money and the cast and crew got paid, I bet you they'd be like, yeah, we'll be blue. Like whatever you want.
Look, if James Cameron's given, go ahead.
But everybody goes for Halloween dresses. For Halloween is the Avatar people. There you go. See, your story, but they're all dressed as for Halloween. They're all dressed up as the Avatar people.
Fun story. Our sequel is actually a 4th of July movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Red, white, and blue. You got the blue cover there. See there.
Yeah.
Well, there'll be a lot of red.
Yeah.
Red.
There will be blood.
There will be blood tonight.
Blood.
Yeah. We're pretty excited about it. The script isn't even done, but we're excited about it.
That's awesome, Britt.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
I was hoping there'd be lots of blood in the Happy Halloween because you know, he was the head haunt at Hotel of Terror for 25 years. So he's just like, oh, I want it to be scary. And I was like, oh, it's Brittney. There'll probably be a lot of blood. Now, you know, you're saying there's not as much blood, so I won't.
I'm not saying there's not any blood. There's blood. I just like, I mean, and David and Emma and Allie know, because I talk to them about it a lot, but I'm just like, man, I wish we could have like doused them. But there's just scenes like, because we had to change our schedule a few different times. We've had to change schedules. So originally we had it filmed, like we were going to be filming, because the bulk of it happens at a corn maze, like tents inside a corn maze, like at a dance. So there's multiple different tents they go through. So originally, like that stuff was going to be shot pretty much in sequence. So we would know, like, blood-wise where we had to be for the next stuff, but we had to move our schedule like a couple different times. So some of those pieces got moved, and some of the stuff that we shot at the end had to be shot first. So some of that stuff we had to shoot first, to where we had to make decisions and then figure out a way to match it.
Yeah.
Like when we went back to shoot the beginning of the scene. That, and it's always hard. Like, people just don't realize like how much, I mean, our corn maze days, it was, most days were between 11 and 12 hours. Most corn maze days that we had.
It's a long time.
It's just a lot. Yeah. It's just the physicality, and it's just one of those things when you don't have the money to have like a lot of people on board.
Right.
Sometimes it just makes it harder, but like, I'm really excited about it. It's really colorful. Like, something I love about Halloween is all the lights. And that's something that me and David talked about for like a year before we were filming and all of our pre-production. So we have a lot of fun colors, like greens and pinks and blues.
Just your the still from your Facebook page, the one I showed earlier.
Oh yeah.
Just that one.
Yep, that's one of our corn maze days. The amazing Emma, yeah.
Yeah, just those colors, like all around, like
it pops out.
And purples and the orange and the yellow, and it just looks very colorful. So
yeah, David did a great job. He lit. I mean, not only is he our DP and our editor and our producer, he lit everything too. Like, so out there in the corn and in the tents, like anytime you see the tent stuff, all those pinks and blues and stuff like that, we worked on like what colors look well together.
Right.
You know what I mean? What's going to look well on people's skin and stuff like that. So a lot goes into it. Like, people think you just throw up lights, but he's a genius when it comes to that stuff. So
you have to
shout out, shout out David.
Yeah, even on stage, you have to have a lighting director, like different things, and not only like on their skin or how they're going to look playing against each other, but also to create a mood or like lighting, super important. So
it's a vibe. It's sometimes your lighting becomes like a character of the film. You know what I mean? So like once it hits nighttime, I think almost every shot we have at night has some type of a color in it, except for like a couple. And like a whole chunk of the script happens like at a corn maze. So there's a lot of to do when it came to night stuff. But yeah, we shot at the Aurora corn maze. They're super awesome. Shout out to them. They're super awesome. They're good people. But yeah, we went out there and we were in a corn maze running around. And then our tent stuff was somewhere else. So
that's fun though.
Movie magic.
I've only been on a movie set like twice, and it was costumes. I was working on costumes, so I wasn't like on the set. I was like behind, like making sure everything was on people.
Oh, see, and we're all just doing that for them. Like, we had a couple of malfunctions. We had a toga that gave us a lot of fits.
Yeah.
You think it's easy. You think, what's easy? We'll just write in this guy's wearing a toga. It's not that easy. It's not an easy costume. You think wings? Super easy. When it's windy, not so much.
Right.
No.
Oh, ridiculous.
Windy, or like if you're in corn maze and you can't have them too big, and you can't, you know what I mean? You still want them to look? Yeah, no.
When you have a 4-shot, you have to stand slightly behind the other character so your wings aren't in their face.
Right.
Lots of things to think about.
She's like, it's hard. It's hard, people.
It is. That's why I'm thankful, though. Like, I'm really thankful for everybody because I'm nervous. I'll probably throw up like 1,000 times when, like, the day that we premiere. Because I'm just nervous because, like I said, it's over 15 years. So it's like blood, sweat, and tears. And you just want people to like it. You know, you want your actors to be happy and you want your crew and your cast, just everybody to be happy and proud. And then you want everybody else to come and like it and enjoy it. And it's just not everybody's going to like everything. And that's a very hard pill for me to swallow and a very hard concept for me to grasp.
Yeah.
Well,
but
Brittney,
we'll see.
Would you be willing to, let's say that James Gunn calls you up and says, Brittney, I kind of like your work. Would you be interested in handling one of my DC films?
That's a silly question. 100%. I love DC. Are you kidding me? Do you think he'd let me do the new Superman movie and I would recast Henry Cavill? That would be my first step.
You just want to work with Henry Cavill.
100%. In that Superman suit? Yes, I do. Yep.
He just did what for me?
First course of action. No, I really would. I want to do a Batgirl. Like, I would want to do a Batgirl movie. I have comics that I've like started and stopped where I've written of like Gotham City Sirens and Batgirl and stuff like that, where Batgirl messes with the city sirens and like that's what I would want to do. Like, if I'm being honest, I would love to do a Batgirl movie.
Doesn't it just break your heart to find out that the Birds of Prey script was originally written based on the comic? That the script that they got was pretty much a great translation of the comic, only to have been messed up because.
And I'll be the first to admit I do love the Birds of Prey movie. I think it's a fun movie, and I think Margot's fighting style straight up looks like the fighting style from the comic books.
Right.
Would I have liked it to been accurate? 100%. Did I have a blast watching it? 100%.
Yeah.
Would I like to see her in a Gotham City Sirens movie? Yes. Like, I would. But I only think it would work if it was, and I'm not like, it has to just be women. But I think to make the Gotham City Sirens movie to work, I really think you would have to have Batgirl as like your backdrop instead of it being Batman kind of going after him. Like, I really think it should be her as like the backdrop person. Yeah. And be like the way that they could introduce her into the DC without just shoehorning her into a Batman movie. Yeah, or just trying to do one on her own. Nothing against what they've done, but like, I didn't like any of the stills. I hate the purple and gold outfit. She's my least favorite Batgirl. Like the yellow combat boots. I've never dug that style. Mm-hmm. I like the Gale Batgirl, like, where she's got the armor plate, black and gold.
Oh yeah.
Where she comes. It's the whole run where she comes right back from. It's like after the Killing Joke, and she's just gotten her legs back. To me, like, that's your best type of story you could tell with Batgirl, is like somebody that was paralyzed forever and then comes back, and the first thing she does is put the cape and cowl back on, and she's rusty and she doesn't want to help because she wants to prove she can do it, and she's literally putting herself in danger over and over again. Like, she's getting her cowl busted open because it's like, not only is she rusty, her equipment's rusty, and then she comes to grips with I took his symbol and I didn't earn it, and she takes the symbol off. Like, that's the Batgirl they should be doing, not the I'm going to use my phone and take selfies and like, let's get a fan page for Batman. Like, that's like, in my opinion, the worst type of Batgirl movie you could do. But I just don't think it does justice to the character.
Yeah.
Sorry, long story, not so short. Yes, I would do a DC movie.
I actually like that idea. I think that would be a great Batgirl story. So I'm with you.
I may or may not have stuff written. James Gunn, just Just throwing that out there.
Hey,
If you'd like to
Brittney,
talk.
Brittney, I just want to submit my resume. I will be happy to work with you on that when you get the call from James Gunn.
Let's do it. You heard it here, folks. Brittney doing the new Batgirl movie.
Who would be whatever, do whatever. It's freaking Batman and it's DC, and he would be like, I'm down to do whatever you need me to do.
That's your thumbnail. This goes viral. You're welcome, Larry. This is going to go viral, and everyone's like, local Missouri person in talks with James Gunn to direct new Batgirl movie.
I could kind of slip that into an article.
Yes.
You know what?
On all sorts of places.
I as much as I love the character of Batman and I love a lot of the movies, let me just officially say that while I've enjoyed other films that this person has made, Matt Reeves, dude, no. Sorry. No. Dumb 7. I don't enjoy that movie. I just didn't. It needed another 2 or 3 passes. That script needed a little more work. A little more work.
I like you feel like just a tad.
Just because you can't write a story where all the cops hate him and him be knocked out, and you move his body to the police station inside an interrogation room surrounded by cops who hate him, and nobody's taking off his mask.
Right? What? Come on, it's realistic.
Well, you got to respect the mask. You got to respect it. You don't take that off.
Not if they all hate him. Only Gordon likes him, and Gordon did not pick up Batman himself and carry him there.
I think it's a bummer because I think Pattinson did a great job. Like, I love the detective side of it. You know what I mean? Like the gadgets and the detective, like the contacts being stuck to his eyes, and that stuff. All that was great. The Riddler, like I don't like what they did with him. I hated his outfit. Bummed me out.
Well, that's the thing. It kills me that Matt Reeves got rid of a really, really, really good Batfleck script and decided to rewrite it and make it something closer to, as he said, closer to what he read in the Batman comics. But the film he ended up making had a lot of problems. And instead of people going, well, it was just year 2, you can't cover up the problems with that script by saying it's its second year. For one thing, one would think that if you are one of the smartest people out there, both you and Gordon, wouldn't get tripped up by Spanish.
Oh yeah, it's a hard language.
I mean, is it really that hard? Really?
Yeah, I didn't do well. I took it twice in high school. Didn't do well.
And then you have the whole thing. It's like you've trained with the League of Shadows. So really, that whole stealth thing goes right out the window. I mean, is this the guy for whom Rachel Gould?
That they brought him to the police station. Nobody took off his mask because they all hated him. And then Brittney did say that she didn't like what the outfit with the Riddler.
Sorry, do you love that outfit? I don't like it.
The Riddler.
He looks like the Zodiac Killer. He looks like the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
That was actually the idea. But once I saw the movie, I was like, okay, I understand it now.
It's not that I don't understand it. I just don't like it. I get it. I just felt like the Riddler isn't the Zodiac Killer. And he's very like,
I thought,
like I've got a cane and like question marks. And then I was like, what are you doing? Because the beginning was great. Like that opening, like I was like, oh, shoot, we're in for something.
Greatest depiction of the Riddler ever, hands down, bar none.
What? No way. I'll go to my grave, Jim Carrey.
With the unhealthy obsession with the Riddler. It is
Jim
a guy
Carrey.
so obsessed with Batman.
Jim Carrey
played a terrible
100%.
Joker while dressed as the Riddler.
100%, and I loved it.
Also played a terrible version of Joker while dressed as Two-Face, which was weird. But anyway, no,
loved it.
He's
loved it.
With Batman. He's obsessed with proving himself to be smarter than Batman, and that is his whole thing. Like, so doing the whole Zodiac deal in this is like, oh, I'm obsessed with this dude in a mask. I should wear a mask too. I'll do this. And then when Batman exposes him, that whole prison scene where like he's talking to him at Arkham and everything, that explained everything. Where he's just like, "Wow, I was completely wrong, and you're a dick." And no, I'm going to, So it was kind of the seeds being planted for what would become what we know as Riddler from the comics.
Has question, and I could be wrong. I don't know a lot about the Riddler. I do not like this Riddler, but has he ever wore a mask before? Answer me honestly, because I don't know. Has he ever worn a mask before?
Not Riddler proper, which is
right.
why.
That's my big problem.
Yeah,
it'd be different. That's like doing in my opinion, that's like doing a Batgirl and saying, yeah, but this time we're not going to have her. She's not going to wear a bat cowl at all.
Right.
And I'd be like, but why? She's always worn one.
So
I'm like, oh, is she Oracle? No, she's Batgirl. So why are we calling her Batgirl?
Oh, so it's the MCU where no one wears masks.
Right, exactly. In my opinion, you should be wearing a mask if you've got a mask in the comic.
Yes. And if you're going to use a serial killer, if you're going to make a big deal out of rewriting a really good script because you are such a fan of the comics and you needed a serial killer, why couldn't you just use Professor Pig?
Yeah, dude, because he is one.
I've been saying I want to see like the darkest Batman movie ever where it's Victor Zsasz and Professor Pig doing a thing. But
see, and that's my thing is it just didn't feel like he just didn't feel like Riddler to me. Like that was my problem. Is it felt like he said, it felt like they just said we want to do Riddler again. We're just going to put him in this spot.
Yeah, they were doing proto is what they were doing.
It's very, very proto Riddler. So Riddler's whole thing, like if he ever proved to be okay, my favorite Riddler moment ever kind of sums it up. So he's sitting there, Batman and Riddler are kind of going back and forth, and he's like, something, 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 don't you think? Bruce kind of gets all cocky about it. And Batman just kind of stands there for a second, and he says, what time is it when you find an elephant in your refrigerator? Riddler's like, what are you talking about? What time is it when you find an elephant in your refrigerator? It's time to get a new refrigerator. Everybody knows that one. He's like, exactly. That's why you won't tell anybody who I am. Because what's the point of a riddle that everyone knows the answer to? Damn it. He realizes, like, his whole thing is like, I want to prove that I am smarter than the world's greatest detective.
And I get that.
This movie is
and I get it. I just don't like it. I want my Batman characters to have vibrant costumes. Yeah. So I just do. I didn't like what they did with the Joker in this one.
Yeah.
His face looked cool. Great. I want a dude with green hair, white skin, and red across his face. Whether that's because he's cut it up and it's scarred, like, I don't care. I want my Two-Face to look like not Jack Nicholson, like Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
I literally want his face to be a different color, and I want his suits, half of them to be a different color. Or just don't do Two-Face. Like, that's just me, though. Like, I don't know. Like, and everybody's showing all the Hugh Jackman stuff where he's in blue and yellow. I'm thinking it's going to be, more than likely, it's going to be a gag. Like, because they keep showing the first time of Hugh Jackman's on set. I've seen it like 4 times.
Yeah.
And he's in something different every time.
Right.
Well, I would love to believe we're going to have his yellow and blue suit the whole entire time, and he's going to have a cowl on with his little horns. I don't know if it's going to happen. I want that. We should have that. Or don't do the character. Like, that's my thing. I think it's a great movie. I loved the movie. I enjoyed it. It's by nowhere near the top of my Batman list. Like, nowhere close. It's probably next to Batman and Robin. It's like one of my least favorite Batman movies. Because it's just not as fun. It just isn't as fun.
For me,
better than The Dark Knight, I guess. The Dark Knight Rises. I guess I didn't like that one.
I've always said that to do an accurate depiction of the Riddler on film, you would basically have to make Saw with Batman. And I've wanted that for years. And this was as close as I feel like we're ever going to get to that.
Well,
so this was not the Riddler. This was proto-Riddler. This is like the guy that you can see on his way to becoming the Riddler.
See, and I think I'm just tired of that in movies. Like,
Just give you
that's
the character.
right. That's why I liked Batman vs Superman so much, is because we got a Batman that had been Batman for 30 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had lost a Robin already. You know he's got a Batgirl out there. You know he's fought all of these other crazy people. Like, I have family members that have never seen Batman movies, but I guarantee you they can tell you how Batman became Batman because they do it in like every friggin' movie. And then it's like, hey, let's show you how Bruce becomes Batman. I don't care. I've seen it. I don't care.
Clark become Batman?
Who? Mark?
Clark. How did Clark become Batman?
Oh, that
Oh,
was easy.
Because he's.
I can't. We don't have time to get into this.
Batman v Superman is all. Superman is just Batman
Yes.
with superpowers.
Yes.
That's all he is.
Yeah, but Larry, I've told you before. You know how they got to that point.
Stupidity. Stupidity is how they got to that
Right.
point. Make Superman super and not Batman.
I love Henry Cavill.
The Warner Brothers execs told Zack Snyder that
He is hands down.
So excited about Corn Sweat getting the Superman role. Like, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh my god, he needs to be the next Superman. And then fast forward 6 months or whatever it was, and suddenly he's like the top runner, and now he's got the role. I'm like, he looks like Cavill's younger brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what's crazy is he looks just like Henry Cavill but smaller.
Yeah. But he's not that much younger. That's the only thing about him.
He's not.
He's not that much younger.
But he looks younger.
He does look younger, but he's really not that much younger.
And that's what kills me. That was their whole reason, is we want a younger guy. So I'm expecting somebody that's like 25. I'm like, okay, we're going to get somebody that's like 25 and we're just going to bulk them up. And when they said he was 31, I was like, are you kidding me? So I'm losing Henry Cavill for a dude that's barely younger than him?
Yeah.
James Gunn. We're going to have to re-talk this Batgirl movie that we're doing.
I'm just saying, ultimately, you know, there is a lot to be said when you tell people what you're aiming for and you don't even seem to come close to that. And with Matt Reeves, I totally am not convinced that he's as big of a Batman fan as Ben Affleck. You know, I can definitely tell you that script that he threw away in favor of writing this one.
Yeah, oh god, it is every Batman fan's wet dream. It is.
We missed big. I mean, we missed huge. And again,
we will absolutely never see in a Batman movie. Period.
That's the Affleck one, right?
Yes.
Look it up. It would have been absolutely the script for it.
It's like John. If the people behind John Wick woke up one day and said, "Let's make a Batman movie."
Yeah.
It's just sad. It would have been awesome. And that was the one that Affleck was going to direct and star in, right?
Star in it, and I mean, like, I'm gonna go. Keith, you can back me up on this. I'm gonna say 92% of it was ripped directly off a comic book page.
That's how, in my opinion, that's how it should be. If you're gonna write a comic book,
if you enjoyed the warehouse scene in Batman v Superman, think of an entire movie structured like that.
God, it's so
all
good.
The fight scenes.
And that's a good fight scene. I grant you that.
That's one of the top 3 best ever in comic book movies.
No, I agree. That was a great scene. There are things I like about that movie. I just don't like how Cavill is directed, because I like Cavill and I like him in other things, and I didn't hate him. I kind of liked him in Justice League.
Did you like him in Hellraiser Hellworld?
Did I like him in what?
That was one of his first movies. Was Hellraiser Hellworld?
You know,
he was real young.
He was 17 and he was this big around. He was tiny.
Yeah, he was. I guarantee you he did that movie right after he did The Man in the Iron Mask.
Yep.
That I've seen, which is good.
My big issue, and we've discussed this before, they had plans. They were wanting to have the Superman we were seeing and him going through the things he was going through to get to the Man of Hope. Like
Yes.
the next Superman movie was going to be that. And they wanted to show you that like
But
just
you
because he's
said
from
you don't
another
like it when
planet,
they
like
do
he
that.
has to get there.
You
Like
just said you don't like it when they do that. Just get him to the character you know. You said that
Well,
was Riddler. I
with
said
Sup-
that was Superman.
He was
Superman
with-
could be the
groundwork for
character
like
of both.
way down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
with Superman, they weren't necessarily just retelling his backstory though. They were giving you a darker Superman showing what happens to humanity. They were trying to put a level of humanity into him, of showing like why he needs Lois, like why he actually needs these human emotions, so he doesn't go into this crazy horrible guy. Like he actually needs these people, so like their hope and his hope start to match. And like they had like a whole new thing they were planning on doing with them, but they wanted to show you like what could happen because they had Darkseid that was coming to show you like, hey, you guys thought like he was dark here, you have no clue like what he can become if he loses Lois. And so they wanted to show you that to get to the bright hope to lose it when Darkseid comes.
And
like
also-
literally we lost out on like what was going to be probably one of the best franchises in history. We're not going to get any of those Nightmare movies.
Nope.
We're not going to get the Darkseid stuff. We're not going to get any of it.
We're not
And all
even
of that was planned.
we're
Like
not
that's
even gonna get
sad.
the post Suicide Squad stuff.
Yeah.
And how that fit in, the real Suicide Squad movie fit in with
And what
the
is
story
so
they were telling.
stupid?
Sad.
All these movies were groundwork for things that were supposed to happen like several movies from now.
But
Yep.
that's
And they were building, like, all of it was building towards what would essentially be Justice League 2, like Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yep.
If you want to reset the DCU, why did you not go ahead and make Crisis on Infinite Earths, and now you have an in-movie excuse to reset everything?
But you got the
Well,
Flash movie.
well, that was the Flash movie.
They didn't even reset it properly.
Yeah.
Like Zack Snyder told them when they wanted to do Flashpoint, he said, "Guys, let us do this stuff, and when you release Flashpoint, we can split it, and you can have two worlds, and you could do all of your new guys if you wanted, and then we can keep these guys still here. If you wanted to still use them, we could, because now in this movie you've shown what's happening." And
Yeah.
WB was like, they flipped him off and said no.
It was a lot of
going around about. I think it's Netflix actually is talking to Zack Snyder about the possibility, or is it even possible to continue the Snyderverse?
well.
I'm not even going to pretend like that's an option because I can't be hurt anymore.
Financially,
I can't take it. I can't take any more pain.
It comes down to the fact that you had a lot of money spent by people who didn't know what they were doing and didn't really care. And all they really cared about was not making the same mistakes that Marvel had made with Robert Downey Jr., which is by having an actor that's going to cost you so much money
right?
that you literally are breaking the bank before you've even filmed anything just by casting them. And so I understand what they were going for, but they did it in bad faith, which is the reason why those people aren't working there anymore. You had these executives tell Zack Snyder that what you're planning with Henry Cavill isn't our plan. The plan we want is that we originally wanted Christopher Nolan's version of Batman, and we wanted to use that as the template for how we were going to use our DC characters.
Yeah.
And I would have been bummed at that.
And it wasn't that Zack Snyder planned all that. Zack Snyder was planning on doing the Superman that Henry Cavill wanted to do, but they were prevented from it. So what he did was he did exactly what he was told. They said, look, if you want to continue to work on these movies, if we're going to do this, you got to do it our way. He said, fine. He wrote a storyline that would allow them to bring in more characters, all this stuff, sell stuff, do whatever to get to that end.
Yeah.
And so in having Justice League 2 and 3, you were going to make it possible to tell this huge story. Like, here's another little tidbit that I never told you guys before. The whole thing that the Joker also reveals in Zack Snyder's Justice League is that, remember, when you first saw Nightmare Batman and Superman killed him, that's because he actually did die. He did. He keeps coming back. All these slightly different versions of the Nightmare universe are all different. Yeah, well, kind of a reset type thing. So every time it happened, that's what the Joker was saying, that Bruce didn't have the guts to actually die.
And we're not going to get any of it.
We're not going to get any of that. You know?
Like,
It makes me so mad. And it's stupid. I'm telling you, I told Keith this at Tremendicon. Like, he has a way of getting my blood pressure through the roof.
I'm sorry.
Like, because, like, it kills me. Like, I just recently, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I just rewatched the entire Snyder Cut again. And just looking, like, the story, gorgeous. The visual effects.
I love Snyder movies.
It is.
Even BVS, I liked it.
I did too. Some of the best visual effects I have ever seen in a comic book movie were in Watchmen, in the Zack Snyder Justice League. And I would not trust or put faith in anybody that watched that scene with the Flash turning back time and running and like literally stepping, and you see like the ground forming.
Reality's coming back.
Yeah. Seeing that, I don't trust anybody, and I don't think anybody should, that saw that scene and said, you know what we need here instead? He's going to put some people in a truck and we're going to push that truck out of the way. Yeah. That's literally what they did.
Yeah.
You can't look at that and tell me that that's not one of the most beautiful, and I don't like Ezra Miller. Like, I know he's off his rocker.
Yeah, he's crazy.
But that scene is so beautiful. It is beautiful, and you have it in a superhero movie. There's such great moments in that movie, and the visual effects are stunning. And it's so heartwarming. Like when you see Clark and Lois back together, like all of this stuff is beautiful. When they fight Clark, and like you see him turning slowly and looking at the Flash, like all that stuff, like it is gorgeous. And like the fact that they watched that movie and they were like, no, you know, I don't think this is going to work. And Zack Snyder just he shot the nightmare scene in the scene with Martian Manhunter. Everyone's acting like he shot all these other scenes. No, he didn't. That's what he wanted in the movie. And they told him it's not good. Cut it out.
And then you had the Atom. You had the Atom in the movie. We were going to have, he had set it up that it was a living, breathing universe. The fact that the Martian Manhunter was already here and has technically been here since Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It's like,
And we were going to have Green Lantern. Like he was going to have another Lantern be in the movie.
Yep.
And hearing Steppenwolf tell them that, like when he's like, they've got no Kryptonians, they have no lanterns, and you're like, lanterns, plural. Like they're like, yeah, guys, we live in a world where there's a whole bunch of them, and you get to see them fighting with the Olympians. Like, I don't know how anybody, like, honestly, if you hate Zack Snyder, if you hate everything he does, you cannot. I don't believe them because I think they're lying. Like, you can't watch that movie and not say that this is an amazing movie. Like, it's visually stunning. I don't think anybody can.
It was the closest that I got, in my opinion, to seeing some of these characters truly come to life. And even some of the ones, these aren't all the characters that I wanted, but I love that universe. I love how they were written.
So cool.
I love how you could tell that Zack Snyder actually did not only just read the comics, he saw a lot of the cartoons. He saw a lot of he just took things from everywhere. He took things from the video games. He took things from everything and just mixed it into just how he had spread everything out. And again, I just think that there's no way you can look at Ben Affleck and not see the Batman, the animated series version of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
I mean, he was literally Bruce come to life. He had the smirk down. He had everything. And this is an actor who, like a few other actors, including Ryan Reynolds, was born to be Batman.
Yeah.
Bruce. I mean, Ben Affleck was born to be Batman.
He's the perfect Bruce Wayne too. Like he does both. In my opinion, he's the only one that's gotten both pulled off.
Yes, he's the one guy that has played the character that you only see Bruce Wayne when Bruce Wayne is around other people. But he goes from that
Mhm.
smile to as soon as he
Yeah.
walks out the door, that smile is gone, and he is back in
Mhm.
Batman.
Yeah, and he's so dark. Like, he just seems so much darker.
That's
Like,
the
when
one.
people aren't around. Like, it's awesome.
There is one little simple fact about Batman that every director that's going to make a Batman movie needs to know before you go into it. Batman is not a mask. Bruce Wayne is the mask. The
Yep.
man is Batman.
Mhm.
And I
And-
think
and-
I think Zack Snyder gets that. Like, I think Ben
Yeah.
Affleck gets that.
Well, Jeremy Irons is Alfred.
Yeah, oh
yeah,
God, he's so good.
The comments, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it seems like you have a date, Miss Prince. At least somebody around here does. I mean, it's just, Jeremy Irons is just a great actor. To have him as Alfred was freaking amazing. And
That
again,
and like when he comes back, like when he's
Making-
telling Alfred Faith,
But I was good to see you all.
good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Like when he's telling him about like Faith and stuff, like and he's getting into the ship, he's like, hey man, he's like Faith. He's like, how do you know he's gonna come? He's like, Faith. Like, does he have faith? Like, this is like the first time Batman had faith, and like since he was a kid, he's like, I'm putting all of this on this one guy because I have faith he's gonna come through. And then when he comes and like he's like, oh hey, he said you would come, and like cold chills. And like the whole scene where Superman actually gets there, you can see they're starting to turn him into the Superman everybody wanted. When the axe hits him, and he just says, not impressed, and just has a little smile on his face, because it's like he finally understands what he's supposed to be. Like, he knows now, like, what he's supposed to be, and he's doing that. And the fact that we're not gonna get it, it makes me crazy. Absolutely crazy.
To see Jack Kirby's fourth world realized with Darkseid and all of Apocalypse, to me, was worth the price of any admission to pay to go see any movie that's in. Because again, you announce that they're making Justice League 2. It's an instant hit on any streaming service.
If they said they were just doing the Nightmare, if they said we're doing Batman Nightmare, everybody would lose their ever-loving mind.
I know I would. They'd have to put me
God,
away.
in that scene, like where you're seeing Darkseid, like when you're seeing like all the vision, and like Darkseid is making all of Diana's people watch as she's dead with the coins on her eyes.
Yeah.
And then like you see his beams go through the water, and he just like turns and looks at camera. I'm like, how do you guys not want this movie? How is anybody watching this saying, I don't want more?
I
feel stupid. Like, it makes me feel dumb.
It is a universe that is as alive as anything that they've committed for the MCU. It may not be as many films, but for the amount of time they had and the actors that they had, they made it real, they made it vibrant, and they made it just as competitive. Again, it's not the same box office, but to be fair, DC's got 2 acting Academy Awards. So who said life was fair?
It also has an Oscar. Also has an Oscar for makeup too.
Yep.
Yep.
Guy Gardner.
I'm happy with that. I just saw that.
He literally gave us.
That was breaking news, which is really awesome, by the way. 'Cause I love Nathan Fillion.
I love Nathan, but
Let me ask
that's what
you,
James
Larry.
Gunn's gonna do. Is just gonna bring all of his friends in like he does.
I do have a question for Larry and AJ.
Okay.
What do you think
we'll
about?
try to make this our last question?
Yes.
Just because we've got a couple people that need to leave here soon. So
Okay.
I want to
Well,
get
this is for
wrapped
Brittney
up,
too.
but go right ahead.
We'll have to do a whole show just about Zack Snyder and the Justice League.
Well,
You
never heard me say that I did not like it, by the way. That never
I
came
didn't.
out of my, because I enjoyed that movie, just so you know. And I enjoyed
I appreciate
Superman
that.
in that movie.
I appreciate that.
I wanted more also. So I will just say that. So
Well,
I did not like Man of Steel. I did not enjoy Batman v Superman at the level that you did. But
At least you like the
League,
Justice League.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that immensely. So
Good.
go right ahead, Keith.
Well, my question to all three of you is: what did you think about the rumor that it looks like the front runner for Mr. Fantastic and his lovely wife are Matt Smith and Vanessa Kirby.
See, I heard. Did you not just see that they just posted about Ryan Gosling?
That's what
Is that
I
fake?
hear Ryan Gosling too, but the last inside word I heard that they were looking seriously at Matt Smith and Vanessa Kirby. Now, Vanessa Kirby was in the movie Hobbs and Shaw, and she was Shaw's sister.
right.
I'm not a big
So-
Matt Smith fan.
So
Okay.
I love Matt Smith. I don't think he doesn't fit this role. Like I
I
don't
don't
want
think so either.
Mr.
Like,
Fantastic?
yeah. I love Matt Smith. I just don't see him in my mind. I can't grasp it. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't.
Well,
I think
here's
he
the
should be a bad guy.
here's well, he was. He was in
He was in Morbius.
He was
He's
in
a-
Morbius.
He's a
But-
bad guy in Morbius. I mean, he needs to be a bad guy in a good movie.
I think the thing about Matt Smith is that you got to understand that Reed Richards is not a classically good-looking guy. He's
Which-
very smart.
Right.
He's very
That's-
absent-minded in a way, but he's also
He just looks too young.
Well,
Matt
I
Smith.
mean, he's not.
Like- I know he's not, but he doesn't look
Yeah.
like a seasoned scientist.
I can see that. I can see.
I
that.
You know what I mean?
So I do. I think that if, like, you know, when he's in some of his more serious roles over in the UK, I think that he can look like
House of the
that.
Dragon.
But I still don't like. I just think his personality. I just don't know how he's like. I just can't see it in my head.
Yeah.
And usually I can see, like, when they have all these rumors, I can be like, oh, I can see that. He was one of the ones that I'm like, I don't know if
I
I can.
can't see it.
So that's my problem. I'm a huge Matt Smith fan. I love Matt Smith and a lot of the things that he does. I just don't. I don't visually see it.
Okay.
Since I don't want him to be this part, I'm sure he's a shoe-in. It's usually how it goes. So if you guys want Matt Smith, I'll just say verbally out loud, I don't, and he's right in there. They'll sign a contract tomorrow.
So I do like Vanessa Kirby in this role. If she were to get that, I think
Yeah.
that's a good casting. Matt Smith, I don't see it either, but I did not see Michael Keaton as Batman,
That's right.
and I was so wrong. So
Because he is Batman.
Because he is Batman. Yeah. No,
But
I agree. That's my
When
favorite
he was
Batman.
cast as Batman, I remember thinking, why are they getting him to be Batman? Like, I
Right,
remember
right.
thinking
The
that.
guy
because-
from Bachelor Party running around with the
exactly.
egg mixer.
Oh,
What's
he's so
going on?
good.
Yeah, and-
Actually, no. He wasn't in that movie.
you're right. That's Tom Hanks, isn't it?
Yes.
Tom Hanks is a Bachelor Party.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Mr.
Shift.
Mom?
Well, he's Mr. Mom, right? Mr. Mom, and also
Night Shift.
Night
Night
Shift.
Shift,
Yes.
yeah.
And what's the other one? Where the very funny one where he's the mobster, Johnny Dangerously.
Yes.
Not dangerously.
That's really what I was going back to, is Johnny
Well,
Dangerously. Somehow I got my lines crossed up there, but yes,
Your mom,
He-
like, I was.
yeah.
Keith, are they really throwing Margot's name around?
No, she's.
Or
not
is that
mentioned
just
anymore.
or is that just because Barbie's coming out?
What had happened is that it is looking more and more like she and what's his name from the Star Wars films, Adam Driver. She
Yeah.
and Adam Driver were the first
Right.
names that they had up there.
Yeah.
Now they are both gone.
See, I could
And-
see Adam Driver. I was excited about that.
That I would not be that unhappy about.
See, I was excited about Adam Driver. No wonder his name's off the list because I said I wanted him in it. So
Okay,
because I was like Adam Driver, Margot Robbie. I'm like, that'd be pretty cool. Like I would like to see what she could do as like a good superhero. Like keep her in the GC, have her as Harley, so she gets to flex her villain side, and then get to see her as a good guy. I could see her as Sue Storm. Like, yeah, this is great. And then they were like, nah, we're gonna do Matt Smith. Okay.
I just don't. Yeah. Guys, I'm going to have to get off here. I have an interview at 8:30, and it's
Yes.
8:30.
Yeah,
So,
thank you, AJ. All right, we'll talk to you later. Thank you. All right, now I'm still wanting us to go back to John. Is it Krasinski? Is that how you say it?
John,
Krasinski?
yeah,
Krasinski.
Krasinski.
Krasinski. Thank you. I can never say his name right. I loved him as Mr. Fantastic. He looks like Mr. Fantastic. He played Mr. Fantastic very well in Doctor Strange and the multiverse. So I'm just like, why aren't we just
You got to
going
talk
with
to
him?
Kevin. You got to talk to Kevin. Although you're gonna have to get in line because I think Bob Iger is gonna want to talk to Kevin. Bob Iger and he have some things to discuss, and at this
That doesn't
point,
sound like a positive thing.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say this sounds very negative. I bet you he's not gonna like this discussion.
It is
Principal's office.
Because again, no film from Disney this year so far is really scheduled to make any money. Nobody's talking about the Marvels.
Yeah.
There is no buzz for that film at all. And
What you say is Miss Marvel was great. The Miss Marvel series was awesome.
Okay,
yeah, but Captain Marvel's bad.
Okay.
Well,
I'm glad you said that. I'm
I
glad
think
you
it's
guys said that because the numbers for Ms. Marvel are also bad. Nobody really watched the show.
I guess I'm the only one because I kind of fanboyed on it.
Here's the thing. I have heard from people, and I watched it myself. I didn't think it was horrible. But if you're going to make a major movie and one of your 3 leads is someone that you had to watch from Disney Plus and nobody really watched it, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
If the other lead that you have is also someone who was actually in a Disney Plus, and this one a little more popular. In fact, the most popular of all the MCU Disney Plus shows was WandaVision. But you know how long ago that was?
Yeah, been a while.
And they haven't used that particular actress except to put her in this movie. So now you have 2 characters and 2 actresses that a majority of the normal film-going public have no idea who they are. And then you have an actress that's kind of controversial who some people like, some people don't.
Most people don't.
Most people seemingly, and some of her co-stars probably too. The thing is that it spells problems.
It does.
Right?
It does.
And in the shadow of what happened with Indiana Jones, that is not what you need to be hearing.
It is not.
Dude, Hawkeye and WandaVision were the 2 best shows that they have done. Those shows were great. That Hawkeye show was awesome.
It was. I agree. I really enjoyed it. So, but I really liked Miss Marvel because it really talk about taking the comic book and bringing it to the screen. 95% of the stuff was right out of the comics. They adapted it very, very well. I'm sorry the public didn't see it. I wish they would because I love this character who's basically a female version of Peter Parker.
Yes.
When you come down to it. I mean, that's how she's written. And I love Peter Parker. So.
Yeah, look. Stan Lee did a very good job. Stan Lee and Steve Ditko did a very good job in creating the character of Peter Parker.
Yep.
To the point where several other characters that have come along in those years since then are pretty much just cut out of the same mold.
Right.
Whether you're talking Buffy Summers or you're talking Virgil Hawkins, aka Static, and others.
Yeah. Static also.
Yeah, it's all part of the same thing.
No, I get that.
It's just that. Go ahead.
I think people are getting sick and tired of how they're writing these females in these movies. Like I'm saying that from a female's perspective. Right. Originally, like how Black Widow was written in a lot of these other movies, she had hands down the best fight scenes in every movie. And she didn't have to stand up and say, go girl power.
Right.
Just seeing her do a Hurricane Rana and flipping somebody around and then landing in that pose.
Yeah.
People go nuts. Yeah. Right? People go nuts. You don't have to do these girl power moments and like shove it down people's throats. And people are sick of it. I'm a female. I'm sick of it. Right. Like, I'm still mad they killed Black Widow because she was hands down one of the best female characters they had. And then Scarlet Witch, same thing. Scarlet Witch has like the best line in every movie she's in. But she doesn't have to go girl power, go. She's just a strong female character that was written better, that had better lines. And then you have this Marvels movie, and everyone knows exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be go women go, and they're going to dog on all the guys in the movie. And people just don't want to see that anymore. They just want a strong female character that's just relevant. Like, you don't have to like down everybody else.
Right.
To put them on a pedestal. And that's what they're doing. And I think that's another reason why people are just not excited whatsoever about that movie.
And you also don't have to spend a lot of money. The other big thing about the Black Widow film is that when you saw her appearance in the Avengers, the first Avengers film, you know, you pretty much understood exactly what you needed to understand about the character. You didn't have to go and spend $150 million on a movie. What you should have done was spend $75 million and pretty much make Black Widow's version of, say, John Wick.
Yes,
those
hands
John
down.
Wick films are not as expensive as other Hollywood films.
Well,
it should have been a spy movie.
I have the storyline right from it. I forget who it was that wrote it. It was a great story about Black Widow having to go back and make things right and take care of business from the Red Room and facing all these people that she had to face before, and basically John Wick style. It was a John Wick style comic book with Black Widow that was written amazingly. All you had to do was adapt it. It was right there in front of your hand.
And don't get me wrong, I think Florence is awesome. Like some of my favorite scenes in the Black, because as much as it was kind of a mess, it's hard for me not to like the movie because I loved every scene with Scarlett and Florence. Like all the scenes with them together.
They have great chemistry.
Right, yeah, and I think that's why I liked Hawkeye so much, is they really showed the human side of the human Avengers. And like when you see her changing her shirt and she has like scars and she's like bruises all over her back and like she's making fun of her and she stops for a second and kind of like looks like, oh, and then like looks away, like when she pulls her shirt down, because you're like, oh yeah, I forget that they're like, these are the ones that are actually putting their body on the line. And it's like, it's more honorable and it's more like there's more bravery to what she does and what Hawkeye does. And like, I love those moments in the movie, but she's like literally has the best fight scenes in every movie. Like, I don't like Civil War. She's got the best fight scene in that movie. Like when she's like trying to choke out Winter Soldier, like all that stuff looks so cool. And that's all missing from that Black Widow movie. Cause they tried to do this. We're going to have a bunch of explosions and we're going to crash a ship. And I'm just like, what are you doing? This just needed to be a spy movie.
Right.
What are you doing?
It needed to be Salt. Just like the movie Salt. It needed to be like that.
Well, it needed to be like Salt and Atomic Blonde. You should have taken Atomic Blonde and taken Salt and literally just said, Natasha. That's what you're doing. That's it.
Used what she showed us in Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Captain America Winter Soldier shows her not only as a capable fighter, but also as a very capable spy. And
she's intelligent.
How to play things. Yes, the whole kiss me on the escalator because people will look away. Knowing the little tricks to the trade to get people to not pay attention to you.
Like how you walk, like walk this way, keep your head down, like look to the right, like telling them all of these things.
Right.
And like we have so many seconds we're putting this flash drive in, countdown. We have so many seconds to like get this, like, hey, there's a base here, like that's weird. Like, and all of that stuff, like I liked Black Widow when we saw her in the other movies. I never wanted a Black Widow movie. And then when Captain America Winter Soldier came out and what they did with her in that movie, I immediately wanted a movie, like, because she's like, hey, I gotta go. because I've got a whole new life to find. Because she's
Right,
like, I just
right.
obliterated like
Right.
all of my covers. They should have immediately done a Black Widow movie
Yes, agreed.
that showed her trying to fix all of these problems and it not being a superhero movie, it being an action spy thriller.
Yeah.
Like that's what it should have been, and it should have been like he said, it should have been a lower budgeted movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And it shouldn't have. You didn't have to have Taskmaster, which they ruined.
Right.
Is that a girl? And that's what I'm talking about.
No, I
As a
agree.
girl, I wasn't excited. I was like, you just ruined that character.
Well, and there's so
I
many
was
good
bummed.
female villains. If you want to
Yeah.
find a female villain, then pick a female villain. Don't adapt to male.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. Like I was so bummed. And what happened to them is so tragic. And I'm one of the few people that I actually love Ultron. It's in my top 3 Marvel movies that are my favorite, as I love Ultron. But in that movie, like, it's so tragic. And especially like that being a female is like so sad to think like what they have taken away from them, and like not just in their bodies, but in their minds, like what is taken away. And it shows like how amazing Natasha actually is and how far she's actually come as like a human, not as a woman, but as a human in her journey, and like how much like the red in the ledger really means that everybody kind of jokes about with her, and like how much it actually means, and like how much she's actually grown, and like what it actually means that she's in this team. And then they do this movie and like they just took it all away. Like I was so bummed because they took it all away from her.
That shows you, though, the difference in having one person in charge who can have all these creative people underneath them to create movies, to basically create phases 1, 2, and 3, and to create not only just really memorable films, but create or help to create and bring to life a lot of very memorable characters, versus another studio who never had anyone in charge at all.
Right.
In fact, they use marketing tricks to trick people into thinking that they had someone in charge, when in actuality, the person who was in charge were actually multiple people who had no real film experience outside of just working in offices. And that's the difference between what Warner Brothers was doing with DC and the fact that Disney had an actual whole department dedicated to Marvel Comics, of which divided into between television, the printing of the books, and film. And they didn't have that at Warner Brothers. What you had were a bunch of executives who were telling a filmmaker what to do. That is it.
Sad.
Zack Snyder deserved a lot more respect than he got. But the thing is that they didn't like him. They didn't respect him because they were looking for someone else who was never going to do what they wanted, which was Christopher Nolan. Nolan didn't want to do it. You know, that was the thing. Nolan didn't want to. He realized these executives, who are also the same ones that made the decision about releasing stuff straight to streaming, he realized that they had no concept of what he was doing with his Batman film, which is he wasn't making a comic book movie. He was making a film about the circumstances that if someone in real life named Bruce Wayne had his parents killed and had the money and the time and the effort, what would that be like if he attempted to do that? That was it.
And that's why I don't like those movies.
Yeah. They're
as much as I like the other ones. Because they're not superhero movies.
That's right. They are just meant to be, this is what it is, and this is what I'm working on. But he was at least nice enough to at least give Warner Brothers a screenplay, which is he had his writers and himself work on the screenplay for Man of Steel. And then he gave Warner Brothers wanted the film done quickly. So he had to use his pre-production people to start work on the film. And so basically Man of Steel was done mainly with Christopher Nolan's people, and bringing in Zack Snyder as this train is already rolling. So you've had a script, You've had people working on sets, costumes, everything else, and then you bring in the director, which is not the order that things should work.
Right.
And so ever since then, you have a director that thought he was given one deal. Turns out the deal that he thought he had and the relationship he thought he had was completely different than how the people above him thought of him and what they were willing to do with him. So his idea and Henry Cavill's idea of Man of Steel 2 goes out the window.
Well, let me just say, pray that I do not alter the deal any further.
That's exactly what it was like working with Warner Brothers at that time. Now, that's not the current version of Warner Brothers that we have now. What you have now is someone in charge who can actually doesn't have to wait for a board to tell him what to do. He can just go ahead and fire people like that.
See,
And James Gunn,
We're not a committee.
James Gunn has 2 years or less than 2 years. So his contract for doing what he's doing is only a 2-year contract. And Zaslav let him know that everything is contingent upon the success of this Superman film. So while you've got plans and him talking about things, all that is talk until after Superman comes out.
I think it'll be a success regardless, because you're gonna have a bunch of Guardians fans that are wanting to see something else.
But here we have the thing that Zaslav is stuck. See, contracts, as I was telling you earlier, Larry, contracts mean a lot. Contractually, you still have another Superman movie on the way from J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Don't want it.
It's the money's spent, and they've been working on it. So
don't want it.
They're going to go ahead and make their movie.
Unless you tell me that it's Man of Steel 2 with Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill, I don't want it.
I agree with you.
I'm accepting this James Gunn movie. Not accepting anymore. I'm done. I'm at my capacity.
But
my heart can't take it anymore.
I know. I'm with you. But look, that's also
especially he just announced it, man.
I know.
It would have been different if he wouldn't have announced it.
Rebel Moon. That's all I can say. Rebel Moon.
In October. If he wouldn't have announced it and he wouldn't have put that picture of him as Superman in the suit, I think I would feel less less devastated as an individual.
It was money. The whole thing was about the contracts that again, remember when I said earlier about Robert Downey Jr. and how they didn't want to repeat the mistakes that Marvel had? Let me tell you something about what Disney and Marvel themselves thought of that. They all believed that they had made a mistake with Robert Downey Jr. Because him being the one that took the risk to make Iron Man, even though he was the one with the damaged reputation, he did a lot for what they did with that film. And so standard operating procedure, it doesn't matter who you are. If you are an actor or an actress who has made a movie that has become a surprise, big success, of course you're going to renegotiate. And that's exactly what he did. He and his agent renegotiated and got him this really, really sweet deal, which led to that whole thing during the making of Avengers, where all the other cast members were thinking about quitting because their financial deals were crap. I mean, even having Samuel L. Jackson, they weren't going to pay him very much. And Robert Downey Jr. had to threaten to walk in order to get everybody paid better. Okay, well, with Warner Brothers, they looked at what was going on and said, yeah, we're not going to make that mistake. So when Henry Cavill started to become a big deal and he made the last Mission Impossible movie and he did all that other work, his name was mentioned for James Bond, they decided to play it a different way, which is, we're not going to renegotiate with you. The contract's the contract that you signed. You owe us all these other appearances.
That's sad.
That's where it came down to.
And then they cut him out of the Flash. Jagweeds.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up here. Thank you both for joining us. I always
anytime
love talking to you guys. And just I'll reiterate. I really like Cavill. I do. I
love him.
like him in The Witcher.
He's a nice guy.
He seems that way. He seems very genuine, very excited. If you told me that he was being made into Captain Britain, I would be 100% behind that for a Marvel movie. That rumor's been out there, and I'm like, oh yes, make him Captain Britain. I love
I
it.
don't think he'll do it.
He may
Yeah,
not, but I can. If he did it, I would be 100% behind it.
Feige's changed too much. You realize that Feige really depended on all the other people who were comic book fans, because Feige's knowledge of Marvel comics, in my opinion, only goes back to maybe the last 2 to 3 years of the 80s, and that's as far back as it goes. And that,
if you just
and
do
after,
stuff from the 80s, we're okay.
yeah, but I mean, people like
They're not gonna. That's what.
the Russo brothers have already said stuff. Robert Downey Jr. is acting like he really didn't want to do stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Look, Kevin Feige's in a bad spot right now. And so I'm not saying he's going to get fired. It's not nothing like that. But he's in a bad spot right now. And
so think Foghorn Leghorn, where he goes and beats the dog with the stick and then draws a line in the sand and then beats him over the head. Something like that is what you're saying.
If he wants Henry Cavill, he's going to have to guarantee that if they do Captain Britain, none of this going around and changing stuff.
Right.
If you're going to do Captain Britain,
It's going to be Captain Britain. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, hey, let's change his suit.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's
that's a big reason. Like, I don't know if you guys see, like, Liam Hemsworth is like, I've been reading the books. Like, I'm so excited. And they're like, yeah, bro, do you know why Henry really left? They're like, you get it. Like, you don't have to read those because they're not following them.
Did you hear about that billboard that they put up? When they had this current season of The Witcher come out, and they had a billboard up that said, yeah, he's still Geralt, Netflix. Advertising for The Witcher season 3 because they know that,
and that's like not cool. Yeah, and that's not cool. Like, I feel bad for Liam. Like, in my opinion, they should have just stopped making it. Like, when they said we're not bringing Henry back, they should have just been done with it. In my opinion,
Henry quit. He wasn't that they fired him. Henry quit.
Oh, I know he quit, but everybody was like, now that he's not Superman, he's gonna come back. And Henry's like, no, and Netflix was like, no. We're moving on, but now Netflix is dogging on Liam all the time.
Yeah,
it's kind of crappy.
Look, all I know is Liam should just quit. He should join Henry Cavill, and both of them should make a Warhammer 40K movie.
He's doing it.
Cavill, yeah, it's coming. Yeah. So
Cavill's doing it.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. So, all right, guys, thank you again, Brittney. Keep us posted about
for sure.
Halloween. In fact, I think AJ posted this up there. Check out Happy Halloween on Facebook.
Yeah, check it out.
You guys updated here on GeekyKOOL about it. We always like to we like to talk about our other friends doing similar things, including Mr. Keith down below with Keith and Gary over at Pop Culture Minefield. And as Keith mentioned, the slew of other people that work with them also that make that show possible. I need to get
Thursday
crew.
Yeah, this John and Martin and Gary and me and all the other people that actually work for the radio station that help. I mean, everybody. But I also have my morning show back. I do a morning show called Morning Coffee with Keith on Thursdays. So
nice.
Make sure to check out Morning Coffee with Keith on Thursdays and everything that Pop Culture Minefield's doing, because those guys are awesome.
Check us out
this Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday morning fun time.
I was going to say, you guys are still doing
TGIF on Friday.
Yeah. Check it out, guys. Go out to Pop Culture Minefield. Do realize if you're watching us because we are PG, those guys aren't always PG, so you may have to censor something if kids are in the room. But you can always use headphones. And
you've been warned.
You've been warned. But know that I love these guys. They're awesome. Both Keith and Gary are amazing. So we also have our friends over at the Nerd Informants, or as I like to call them, the Distinguished Competition. Did see Tim over at Tremendicon, and the poor guy.
He's really nice.
He's super sweet. And they were working him to death. He was doing all sorts of panels, moderating panels for him. They also have a really cool. There's the Enterprise.
Nice.
Nerd Informants also have Nerd Informants Beyond, which is a Facebook group where you can post all sorts of geeky, cool stuff for nerds of any flavor. Oh, look at that, Keith. Look at that. We also want to. Ooh, we want to call
People
out
send you things.
Spoo, who
People
was
love to
on the
send
show
you
with.
fins. Look at
Man,
this.
people don't send me stuff. That was just my own mask.
Those are awesome. Check. Oh, there you go. Check out Scallywag Productions over on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and much more. They've got their collectible of the day and all of that history on YouTube of really cool shows. Spoo was on with AJ earlier, and he's always a wealth of information also. And of course, for those of you watching, check out GeekyKOOL.com. That's cool with a K, like cool in the game, which
Yeah.
predates Brittney. Um,
I know what it is, though.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm so glad you do, girl. So yeah, we are as we mentioned, we are looking to expand, and I do have a little short podcast that I do every so often called Geek Speak. We are also coming up with our D&D podcast, and we've got a couple other things in the works that I'm hoping to be able to announce soon as they go official. Couple of them, I mean, both of them really excite me. I'm hopeful for that. And I also wanted to mention, because I know you both know this person, but as of yesterday, Josh Roberts, formerly of Comic Cave, is now a writer for GeekyKOOL.com.
Yes.
Sweet.
So
Yes.
we are looking forward to some really cool creative stuff from him, because Josh is been writing both. He's doing some short stories that are being printed and working on some comic stuff. So Josh has a lot going on, but he's going to be writing for us, and I'm super excited to have him in, along with my other 9 other writers we've got here. So if you have any interest, of those of you watching, in becoming a contributor for GeekyKOOL.com, please contact us. Be glad to talk to you about that, and because we always are looking for people to add to our voices, because we want those different geek and nerd voices out there to be able to all come together and be able to share cool stuff on our site. So, again, Brittney, thank you. Happy Halloween, coming out soon in October. We'll all be there. Maybe we can podcast live from there. That would be awesome.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I know. That would be awesome. And Keith, Pop Culture Minefield, check him out. He's got his Thursday show. He's got TGIF on Fridays, and Saturday morning cartoons.
It's called Saturday Morning Fun Time.
Fun Time, that's right.
And we got
which
Thomas
sounds like a
Cook
cartoon thing.
this weekend with us.
Ooh,
the
nice.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
All
You
right.
remember who he is.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for today. Thank you all for watching, and be cool to each other, because you never know what anybody's going through. And as I like to say, stay geeky. We'll talk to you guys later.